How's it going? I'm Billy Ray Hunnicutt. Welcome to my show, What Do You Say, Billy Ray, where you can write in and pretty much just ask me anything. So here we go. Recently, some people have come up to me and said, "Hey, Billy Ray, is there something different about you?" Actually, there is. People have come up and said, "Hey, Billy Ray, there seems to just be a glow about you." Thanks for noticing. I'll tell you, first of all, my doctor has me on an excessively high fiber diet. And so I'm free as a kitty cat, I'm telling you. It's crazy. But if I have to rapidly exit in the middle of this here show, you'll understand why. Also, you may have noticed, I got brand new contact lenses. I'm seeing things like never before. I even figured out the other day, those red octagonal looking things say stop on them. That's crazy. That'd have been helpful to know sooner. My first letter today comes from John Price. And John writes in and says, "Hey, Billy Ray, what do you think about Lane Kiffin going to Alabama?" Well, John, let me just tell you, I've thought about this a little bit. At first, I thought, this kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. Like Anakin, Obi-Wan Kenobi thought, I'm going to train him to be a Jedi and use the Force, but he goes like all Empire on him and stuff. And I figured that's going to be the same thing that happens here. But then I learned something. I don't know if you were aware of this or not, but Lane Kiffin is Nick Saban's long-lost son. It all makes sense to me now. So I pretty much understand it. And I guess at the end of the day, I would just have to say, I'm very, very happy for the University of Alabama. Roll Tide. Charles Woosley III writes in and says, "Hey, Billy Ray, I've been trying to grow a beard for some time now, and it's just not working. How do Keith Gallagher and Chad Cronin grow out their beards so fast?" Well, Chuck, you don't mind if I call you Chuck, do you? Good. Well, Chuck, first of all, you need to know that Keith Gallagher was raised by grizzly bears in the state of Montana. That's pretty much all there is to it. Chad Cronin, on the other hand, as a little Nino in Puerto Rico, while other kids were learning to throw the baseball, he was learning how to shave. He could hold his nose and blow, and hair would just pop out. It's like one of those Play-Doh things where you stick the Play-Doh in, and then you squeeze down, the hair just pops out like that. I think that boy shaves like 3 times a day. So I do realize that this information is not very helpful for you. So my only recommendation, Chuck, would be eat more barbecue sauce. It puts hair on your chest. We received an anonymous letter from someone that says, "Hey, Billy Ray, what do you think about Russia invading Crimea?" Well, I have to be honest with you. I didn't know there was such a place called Crimea. In fact, the only Crimea that I knew of was Crimea River. Get it? You got it, didn't you? Go ahead and elbow your neighbor. That was a good one. I got it now. Crimea River. I had to do a little homework about this Russia-Ukraine-Crimea deal, and I found out some things, and here's what I will tell you. I believe it all starts with the leader. The leader of Russia. His name is, hold on to the table, Vladimir Putin. Putin. Are you kidding me? Putin? Last name is Putin? You don't think this boy has issues? You don't think growing up, maybe he got teased a little bit? Hey, Putin. And now somebody says, "Excuse me, Mr. Putin." No, excuse me. But here's the deal, Vladimir. I don't care if you got teased as a boy. You ain't a boy no more. It's time to put on your big boy pants, and it's time to stop picking on people. You don't think Vladimir has issues? Well, let me give you my case here for a moment. Here's Vladimir in the river with no shirt on, okay? Here's Vladimir on horseback with no shirt on. Here's Vladimir also riding a bear with no shirt on. And then, finally, we have Vladimir holding a puppy. Apparently, you're not allowed to hold puppies unless you do have a shirt on. So at the end of the day, what do I think? Well, I think Mr. Putin needs a whooping is what he needs. We need somebody to go over there and take Vladimir behind the woodshed and beat the holy doo-doo out of him. That's the only thing that's going to take care of this. I can say doo-doo if I want to, especially if I put holy in front of it. I mean, that just makes it okay. As I was saying, we need to go give this boy a whooping. And I don't think there's anybody who's better suited to go give him a whooping than John McClane. I mean, he ain't making any more Die Hard movies. Send that boy over there packing. He'll take care of business. And let Chuck Norris go with him. Dan Brooks wrote in and said, "Hey, Billy Ray, we're having volunteer appreciation night at the Brook. I would love to know who's the greatest volunteer of all time." What a great question. This one just sent me reeling. I had to do lots of homework. We compiled a list of all the greatest volunteers. And I'm going to tell you what we whittled it down to. So our first choice was a guy you may remember. His name is Rudy. You remember Rudy? Rudy was on the Notre Dame football team for something like 37 years. And in the last play of the last game of the last season that Rudy was on the team, he got to go in the game. And you know what he did? He sacked the quarterback. That's crazy. Last play, last game, last season, sacked the quarterback. It's crazy. Rudy, Rudy. And when I saw Rudy for the first time, I remember that. Turn it off. Turn it off. When I saw Rudy for the first time, it got me. But recently I discovered this past football season on ESPN's College Game Day that Rudy was offsides. That's not good. Play negated. You're out of the running for greatest volunteer of all time. No Rudy. So of course I had to have Davy Crockett on my list. After all, he led all the volunteers from Tennessee to Texas to fight in the Alamo. But as I discovered just a couple of years ago, the outcome of that battle did not really go so well. So when you lose the Alamo, you lose points for greatest volunteer of all time. I know that may sound unfair, but that's just the way it is. So no Davy Crockett. Have you ever had one of those moments where it's like a light bulb just comes on over your head and you realize, oh my goodness, that's what I was trying to think of the whole time? Well, I had one of those moments. Greatest volunteer of all time? Are you kidding me? Is there even any question? It's Peyton Manning, my friends. I don't care who you are. Unless you are Satan himself, you gotta like Peyton Manning. Greatest volunteer of all time. Let me hit you with some statistics for a minute. 65,000 all-time passing yards. 65,000. 65,000, that's like from here to the moon. So you can tell your kids that Peyton Manning threw football all the way to the moon. That's pretty much how far it went. Almost 500 touchdown passes. 500 touchdown passes, you kidding me? The Cleveland Browns haven't scored 500 touchdowns ever. Period. Peyton Manning has a 97.2% quarterback rating over his career. Let me just share with you that I didn't make a 97 the whole time I was in high school. So I'm saying that's pretty good. And here's the kicker, folks. To think that Peyton Manning has done all of this as a volunteer. He's done all of it for free. For free. Like, I know football's fun and everything, but doesn't this boy have to feed his family? Does he have health insurance? I mean, do you think he went on Obamacare and signed up for something? I don't know how this boy takes care of himself. And then, not only that, he's got all these charities and organizations. I'm saying, forget volunteer, forget greatest volunteer of the year, or even of all time. How about greatest human being ever? That's what I'm saying. Peyton Manning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it up for Peyton. And what? How much? Bring that over here and let me look at that. That's not true. There is no way. My apologies, but I have recently learned information that leads me to make the decision that Peyton Manning can no longer be considered for for greatest volunteer of all time. I have just learned that over a 5-year period, Peyton Manning will make $96 million for playing football. I don't really know how many zeros that is. I do know that it's around $15 million a year. And I do know that Peyton Manning will make $22,761.03 every time he passes the football. I guess all I know to say to that is, hey Peyton, would you pass me the football? I'd like $22,000. Roll Tide. So in light of all of the information we've learned, here's the conclusion we've come to. You know who the greatest volunteer of all time is? It's you. That's right. I want you to turn to the next person right there at the table with you. Go on ahead and say, you are the greatest volunteer of all time. High five right now. Everybody all around the room, high fiving. Let's do it. High fiving. You and you and you sitting right back there. You're not doing it. Everybody in the room. Greatest volunteers of all time. Let's give each other a big round of applause. Come on now. That's right. Way to go. We love you. Woo, woo, woo. Hey, Peyton Manning, if you don't throw me the football, I'm going to come over and hide in your closet and wait until you're sleeping. And me and my pet beaver, Chuck, are going to come out and we're going to wallpaper your whole house in Seattle Seahawks posters. Sweet dreams. Putin. Bye. Bye-bye. Putin, Peyton. Peyton, Putin, Putin.